Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mr. Kovalt, and in this video I'm going to go over how to do electron configurations and orbital diagrams. So I'm going to go over a couple of examples of how you would write out the electron configuration and write out the orbital diagram for a couple of elements. So let's get started. So here we have iron. So iron, the first thing we need to know about iron is how many electrons does it have? So we're talking about the neutral atom of iron. So in order to write your electron configuration and your orbital diagrams, you have to know the number of electrons. So in this case, since it's a neutral atom, the number of electrons must be equal to the number of protons, and the protons are given to you by the atomic number on the periodic table. So if you go to the periodic table and you look up iron on the periodic table, you'll find that iron is number 26. So that's 26 electrons. So the first thing you want to be able to do is you need to know the order of the different sublevels, going from 1s to whatever sublevel you need. Now there's a couple of ways you could do that. You can use the periodic table if you know how to use the periodic table. If you don't know how to use the periodic table, go to my video on how to write electron configurations from the periodic table. If you don't know how to do that, watch that video. Or you can use a diagram that has it listed out, the levels, the energy levels and the sublevels, and how you could do the diagonal route, you drawing diagonal arrows. If you don't know what I'm talking about, find my video that deals with writing electron configurations using a diagram. So I hope that's helpful. But if you know those things already, then you know what to do. So first, we want to write out the electron configuration for iron. So here we go. So we have 26 electrons. So we need to fill out the order, right? So first is the 1s. We put 2 electrons in the 1s, and so on. So here, let me start by writing out the orbital diagram first, so that way we have something to look at as well. So the orbital diagram, I won't write out the whole thing, but enough to do these problems. So we have the 1s, 2s, and then here we'll have the 2p, and then the 3s, and then the 3p, and then the 4s, and then after the 4s we'll have the 3d, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3d, and then after that we'll have the 4p, and then we'll have the 5s, and then we'll have the 5d, so 4s, 3d, 4p, 5s, 5d, and then we'll have the 5p, and then of course we'll have the 6s and so on. So this is as far as we need to go. So this is our orbital diagram. The first thing you can do, you can either do the orbital diagram first or do the electron configuration first. It doesn't matter. You can actually get the electron configuration directly from the orbital diagram. So it might help to do the orbital diagram first. So we'll leave this here, and I'll run through the orbital diagram for iron first. And then that'll give you an idea of how we get the electron configuration, because the electron configuration is the orbital diagram. Okay, so there's a couple of principles and a rule that we need to follow. The first is the Aufbau principle, meaning that we have to add electrons to our orbital diagram from lowest energy moving on up. We don't go to a higher energy level or sublevel until we finished filling up that sublevel. So we're going to start with 1s and we're going to fill in the electrons. And each orbital, each line is an orbital. And so each orbital can have a maximum of 2 electrons. That's the Pauli exclusion principle. And they have to be opposite spin, so spin up, spin down. And so we're going to start filling these in. So I have 26 electrons to put in. I'm going to put 2 in this orbital. So the 1s orbital here gets 2 arrows, spin up, spin down. Then the 2s orbital here gets 2 arrows, or 2 electrons. So spin up, spin down. So I've used 4 electrons. Now I have 22 more to go. So this sublevel is full. So now I'm going to go to this next higher sublevel. And so I have 3 orbitals here that are the same energy. Anytime, so you need to follow Hund's rule. Hund's rule says that anytime you have 3 or more orbitals, multiple orbitals that have the same energy, you have to put in 1 electron each singly before you pair them up. You don't pair them up right away. You have to add 1 electron to each orbital first and then pair them up if you have extra. So in this case, I have plenty. So I'm going to put spin up. And you always put spin up first. That's just tradition. So spin up, spin up, spin up. So now they all have 1 electron each. And now I'm going to pair them up, but they have to be spin down. Spin down, spin down, spin down. So that's 10 electrons now. So 10 have been put in, and I have 16 more to go. So the next higher level is the 3s. So this 3s orbital is going to take 2 electrons. 1, 2, spin up, spin down. Then I have the 3p again, 3 equal orbitals. Hund's rule, I have to put in 1 electron at a time first. So spin up, spin up, spin up. And then I'm going to pair them up, spin down, spin down, spin down. So at this point, I have, 18 electrons. So I have 10 here plus 8. I got 18. So that gives me 8 more electrons. So I got to go from here to here. So this 4s orbital is going to get 2 electrons, spin up, spin down. So that's 20, 6 more electrons. So from here, I'm going to go to 3d. 3d is the next higher level. I'm not going to go to 4p because 3d is lower in energy. So I'm going to put in 6 electrons first, 1 at a time in my 5 orbitals, and then pair up the last one. So I have 6 electrons. So I'm going to put in 1 electron in each orbital, 3d orbital. 1, spin up, spin up, spin up, spin up, spin up. So there's there's 5 electrons. I have 1 more electron. So now we're going to pair this up with that one there. And so this is the orbital diagram for iron. So now I can write the electron configuration for iron from the orbital diagram here. Now I could have written the electron configuration first without this, but again, you kind of have to know the order of these sublevels: 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 4s, 3d, and so on. So all I'm going to do is write the I'm going to write the sublevel with the number of electrons in each sublevel. So I already have the 1s that has 2 electrons, so 1s2. Next is 2s with the 2 electrons, so that's going to be 2s2. And then next is the 2p. I have 6, so that's going to be 2p6. And then the next one is the 3s, so that has 2, so that's going to be 3s2. Next is the 3p. I have 6 electrons there, so that's going to be 3p6. Next is the 4s. I have 2 electrons there, so 4s2. And then from the 4s, I go to the 3d, and I have 6 electrons here. So that's going to be 3d6. And so that's the electron configuration for iron. So let's go to the next one. I hope that was helpful. Let's go to the next one, which is Sb antinomy. If you go to your periodic table again, you'll find antinomy over here, Sb right under arsenic in the same group as nitrogen. So Sb antinomy, that's number 51. So I'm going to have to write out the electron configuration for antinomy. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. I'm going to clear this for the next element, antinomy. And here we go. Okay. So for antinomy, I have 51 electrons. So I'm going to just fill this up again with the electrons until I use up 51. Okay, so here we go. So I have, hold on a second, let me see something here. So, yep. Okay, here we go. Oh, I made a mistake here. No one caught it. Okay, so I made a mistake on my numbers. Let me erase this again, give myself some room. I messed up on the numbers, but that didn't really matter for the iron because I didn't get that high with the iron. But let me just redo this. So 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 4s, and then we have the 3d, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3d, and then we have the 4p, 1, 2, 3, 4p, and then we have the 5s, and then we're going to have the 4d. That's where I messed up last time. I went from 5s to 5d. That should be 4d, sorry, 4d. And then we go to 5p, 1, 2, 3, 5p, and then we have 6s. Okay, so 4d, 5p, 6s, and then we're going to the 5d here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 5d. And then we have the 1, 2, 3, 6p. And then up here we'll have this 7s. And that's as far as we need to go. Okay, so now that I have my corrected orbital diagram, all we need to do now is add electrons to the orbital diagram. We're going to follow the same rules, the Hund's rule, Pauli exclusion principle, Aufbau principle. So I'm going to start here. So 1s orbital gets 2 electrons, spin up, spin down. Next one is the 2s. That orbital gets 2 electrons, spin up, spin down. Now the 2p. I've got one, I'm going to add 1 electron each. There's 3 equal orbitals. So I'm going to add 1 electron spin up to each of those. and then I'm going to pair them up, spin down, spin down, spin down. That's 10. So 41 more electrons to go. So next is the 3s. So I'm going to put 2 electrons into that orbital, spin up, spin down. Now the 3p, that's equal. So Hund's rule, spin up, spin up, spin up. 1 in each one first. And then spin down, spin down, spin down. I'm going to pair them up. So now I have 18. Next is 4s. This orbital is going to get 2 electrons, spin up, spin down. Now I'm going to go to the 4s to the 3d. So 5 equal energy electrons. So Hund's rule, add 1 electron at a time. Spin up. And then I'm going to pair them up, spin down, according to Pauli exclusion principle. So now I have 10 there. So I had 18 here. So no, 18 here, 20, that's 30. And so I have 21 more to go. So next I'm going to go to the 4p. So that's going to be spin up, spin up, spin up, spin down, spin down, spin down. So that's full. Next is the 5s. Spin up, spin down. Okay. Next, I'm going to go from the 5s to the 4d. So where am I at here? Okay, so I'm going to go from the 4s to the 4d. So again, these are equal energy. So I'm going to put 1 at a time according to Hund's rule. So spin up, spin up, spin up, spin up, spin up. And then I'm going to pair them up. Spin down, spin down, spin down, spin down, spin down. Next, 5p. So at this point, I have how many electrons? 2, 4, 10, 12, 18, 20, 30, 36, 38. And then I've got 10, 48. Here, I have 51 that I need to put. I have 3 more. So I'm going to put them in the next one here. So again, Hund's rule, separately, 1 at a time, spin up, spin up, spin up. And that is all of my electrons. No more electrons. So now I can use my orbital diagram to write the electron configuration for antinomy. So again, I'm just going to write the sublevel and the total number of electrons in each sublevel as I'm writing my electron configuration. So here I have 1s with 2 electrons. So this is going to be 1s2. Then I have 2s with 2 electrons, 2s2. And then I have 2p, which is next, that has 6 electrons. So that's going to be 2p6. And then I have 3s next with 2 electrons, 3s2. And then the 3p is next with 6 electrons, 3p6. And then the next is 4s. Remember, I'm going from one energy level to the next. I'm not going to any higher energy level until I fill up the energy level that I'm on. So this sublevel needs to be filled. So that's going to be 4s with 2 electrons, 4s2. Next, not the 4p, but 3d is next. So the next highest level is, the next lowest level, I should say, is the 3d. So that's going to be 3d, and that has 10 electrons in it. Next is the 4p with 6 electrons. So I'm going to move down here. So that's going to be 4p, 4p6. And then next is going to be the 5s. So 5s with 2 electrons in the 5s. Next is going to be the 4d with 10 electrons. So 4d10. And then after that is 5p with 3 electrons. 1, 2, 3. And so it's going to be 5p 5p3. And so that's the electron configuration for antinomy with the orbital diagram. So I hope this is helpful. If this helped you learn or understand how to write your electron configurations and how to do your orbital diagrams, great. Then please like the video, share the video, hit that like button somewhere over there. Also, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. When you do, make sure you click all so you'll be notified by all the videos I put out. Finally, put a comment down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Ask me questions. I would love to hear from you. If you have a problem that you want me to go over, a question you want me to go over, or a topic you want me to cover, put that down below. I would love to do that for you. Thanks for joining me and have a great day.